Cold temperatures and snow can provide a real challenge to first responders, especially to firefighters in the area. Parkersburg Fire Chief Jason Matthews says when it comes to fighting fire in the snow and cold, extra steps have to be taken to make sure they can do their job. He says one of the main concerns is keeping the water on the trucks from freezing. Another concern is making sure they can make it to a call, especially with possible snow and ice on the roads. Matthews says there is a higher volume of calls during very cold weather. He also says that people can help prevent fires by avoiding the use of open flames.
Well, just with anything, if you're going to try to, use a space heater, an extra space heater or two to stay warmer, make sure that they have space. Try not to have open flames, whether it be candles or, or a torch trying to thaw pipes. Those are going to, catch the nearby combustibles on fire.
Matthews adds they have to be cautious as well, as water used to fight fires in cold temperatures can also make a slipping hazard.